Thanks for checking my video out. We're going to do today a review for AC/DC Power Up. Now remember, reviews are just opinions, and opinions are like crazy ex-girlfriends. Everyone has them. Now AC/DC, what an iconic band. Anyone out there playing in a garage or playing in their house, starting a band, would love to get 1/100th of the career that this band has had. I've been in AC/DC and Kiss for like probably the first two bands that I got into. Kiss, because of the whole imagery, was awesome, but AC/DC just because that raw sound and that power, rock and roll. I mean, come on. I didn't own this when I was a kid. I owned the cheaper version, but since then I've been collecting AC/DC, have all their albums. Love them, love them, love them. This is High Voltage right there. This is the one I got when I was a kid. It had been out for just a few years, and it was at a flea market, and this woman had it on a blanket with a whole bunch of albums, and this spoke to me. I said, I need to listen to this. And boy, it shaped my whole childhood. A lot of my friends were into 80s music, and I enjoyed 80s music, but when I was home alone with my little turntable and stuff, I was putting on AC/DC. It's another High Voltage, another variant of High Voltage. This is their first one. Just got this one recently. Of course, my favorite AC/DC record, for a lot of AC/DC fans, it's their favorite. The late great Bon Scott, of course, Power Ridge. This to me is just the band at its peak. Like I said, I would listen to AC/DC like crazy. Every album, flicking a switch, not so much, but then Fly on the Wall came out, and again, I was into the band all the way. Fly on the Wall came out in 85. 85, I was leaving 8th grade to go to high school. High school, AC/DC kind of fell. It's one of my favorite bands. Just a band I would play a lot. High school opened me up, found a lot of other groups that I liked as much, so I wasn't just constantly listening to AC/DC all the time. And unfortunately, the albums, they would come out, they'd have a single or two that I liked, and I would purchase it. And the last few, Black Ice and that, they were okay. They were good. The band can't put out a bad album. The band is one of these bands like the Ramones that just have found their niche in rock and roll, and you know what to expect. You know when you put on AC/DC, you're not going to get a 13-minute song with some acoustic and flutes and a triangle hit. You know, you're going to get straight ahead, balls out rock and roll. So even at their quote-unquote worst, they're still a really great band. So let's get into Power Up. Now, a few years ago, I saw AC/DC, saw Brian Johnson's one of his last shows. And then Axl Rose took over for a while, and Cliff Williams was out of the band, and was Angus talking to Brian. This great band that had enough tragedy with losing Bon Scott. Really didn't need to fizzle out with a weird ending. And then, of course, we lost the other young brother. R.I.P. to Malcolm Young, of course. But it just didn't seem right. And then all of a sudden I didn't hear anything. And then using the internet, all these ads for Power Up are coming out. Listen to the new song Shot in the Dark. Shot in the Dark. Not to be confused with Ozzy's Shot in the Dark. But I was surprised. I was like, oh good. Not only are they talking to one another and everyone's in the band, but they are putting out a new album. So let's get into it. I ordered the new album from AC/DC's website. So I got the yellow version. I'm sure all the versions sound pretty much the same, but I wanted to order it straight from their site. So I played it, and to be honest, the first time I spun it, I was like, it's going to be like rock or bust, where like I kind of own it, because any AC/DC fan obviously want to own everything they have, and I'm going to put it away. You know, so I listened to some older AC/DC, and I didn't really listen to other people's reviews or see it. I didn't want other people to kind of influence how I was going to feel about it. I saw that some people were like, it's the greatest thing they did in 20 years, and I'm like, well, 20 years ago was the year 2000, so that's still pretty, not too long ago, I guess, but I guess it's 20 years ago. So then I played it a few more times, and it really grew on me. So it is an album that if you're purchasing it with a lot of other music, you do want to set aside some time to just listen to this AC/DC album. You do want to play it a few more times. At least for me, it improved every time I played it. So right off the bat, it's your AC/DC sound. It's straight ahead rock and roll. It's good stuff. Angus Young's solos sound amazing on it. Of course, if you listen to just the solos, you would know he's in the 60s. Brian Johnson, to me, sounds good on it. You know, he's got a unique, scratchy kind of growly voice. The guy sounds like when he woke up, instead of having pancakes for breakfast, he had a handful of gravel. I mean, it's just an awesome rock and roll voice. So the album is powerful and good. Some of my favorite tracks, my favorite track is Realize. Realize starts the whole show off. So we got the CD, it's track 1. We got the album, it's side A, track A. Realize to me was probably the strongest one on there. First song of side 2, Demon Fire. That's my second favorite song. That's a good one. And then a song that it fits AC/DC, but to me, they're kind of a unique kind of an AC/DC song. Through the Mist of Time. It is a 4th song on side 1 or A. You can convince me this is the best song of the album. I don't think they'll release it as a single. I mean, let's be honest. There's no rock music and it's ever going to break top 10 anymore. It's just all pop, hip hop stuff. So, but if you are listening to this album and you're just, of course you're going to hopefully listen all the way through. Check out that song. To me, it can be convinced, like I said, that is the greatest song on the album. Shot in the Dark is a single. To me, like my 4th favorite song on the album, 4 out of 12. Not too bad. It's a good song. At least it's not the cheesy refrain of like Hard as a Rock, a song they had a while ago. So it's got some great songs. It's got a lot of good songs. It's got a few great songs on it. It's got a lot of good songs. Your average song is just going to be a good song. Now, nothing can be perfect, right? A band that's going to put out album after album after album, have a long career, as AC/DC has, it's hard to maintain greatness all the time, right? So you're going to have some clunkers. On this album, my least 2 favorite song is Code Red. It's the last song on the album. To me, they would have been fine not even including it. Really not that great of a song. It kind of gets lost. There's a lot of mid-tempo on this album. You don't get a lot of riff-raff or If You Want Blood. There isn't anything that's that up-tempo. And to me, that up-tempo stuff is when AC/DC shines. You need that little kick. I'd be okay with if they would have not sped any of these songs up, because it probably wouldn't sound great for the song. But if they would have included a song or two, like If You Want Blood or Riff Raff, upbeat stuff, Shake a Leg even from Brian Johnson years. Kick You When You're Down. That was my least favorite song of the whole album. To me, it was like a country rock where, like, look, we're clever with this chorus. And it just, I don't know, I hate new country music, and for some reason it's not country music at all, but when I played it, that's what I thought, and therefore now I hate the song. So it's 12 songs. You just would release this as a 10-song album, it may have went from very good to a great album. Or, like I said, taking out maybe a few of the ones like System Down or something like that, Wild Reputation, take out maybe 2 of those and put in some quicker stuff, it would have been a great album. Right now, it's a good, very good album. Is it an album that when you're in the mood for AC/DC is the first one you're going to pull out? Probably not. You're going to probably pull out Highway to Hell or something like that. But is an album that you should own as an AC/DC or a rock and roll fan? Absolutely. For an AC/DC fan, you want to own it because it completes the collection. For a rock and roll fan, you want to own it because this is good schooling in how to be a good rock and roller. It's great music. Matter of fact, when I was learning to play the drums, I learned how to play the drums by listening to Highway to Hell over and over and over. Phil Rudd, he's not going to be your Neil Peart. He's not going to play a million fills or anything like that, but he's going to keep the groove. He's an awesome player. Cliff Williams is going to go right along with it, so you got that driving force of those two. And like I said, the solos that Angus has on it is awesome. Brian Johnson sounds like Brian Johnson. So overall, I guess if you want to wrap it up, it's a very good record. Not great, but very good. We're glad you put it out, AC/DC. We're glad you're still around. If this is your last album, it's a good way to go out. Alright, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos, and don't forget to power up.